Hello and welcome everybody to New Earth Consciousness. Tanya here with Jamie Barbour. Did I say that right?
Barbour.
Barbour,
Either one's fine.
Barbour. Thank you. And so Jamie, his website is eternus-self.com. It's down there in the description. He is a certified guide, life activation practitioner, healer, and magus hermetics in the lineage.
Hermeticus.
Hermeticus.
Magus
Thank you.
Hermeticus.
Boy, it is a mouthful, but I love it. In the lineage of King Solomon. Sorry, so let me say that again. Certified guide, life activation practitioner and healer, and magus hermeticus in the lineage of King Solomon.
Yes.
I
Very
love
well
that.
done.
Thank you. Boy, that took some rehearsal. I should
Yeah.
have practiced before. Anyway, thank you for being here, Jamie.
Thanks for having me.
So, after my conversation with you, I was just like, whoosh, my brain was going, like it was just, I was like, oh my gosh, this is so cool, what you shared with me. So I'm really excited to dive into it. So, um, where do we start?
Well, we can start with kind of what you're going through and where we all kind of come from is we tend to have these synchronicities that start happening,
Hmm.
right? So as we've talked about with you, when I met you, you had already met someone that has been a part of this path. And since talking with me, you've ran into someone else. And so you have all these little signs that start coming up.
Yeah,
And we all kind of start to kind of have similar stories to where it's like, okay, well, life seemed to be guiding me this direction. And this is typically how most people will kind of come forward for this kind of path. It's not something that we're blasting on social media necessarily. It's not something that you're not going to see a billboard for it. We
mhm.
don't typically run ads because how people come to this path matters.
Hmm.
And so it's allowing things to naturally unfold. And for those who are ready, they seem to find their way somehow. It's very
Interesting.
interesting.
How did you find your way?
So mine started, so I've been a seeker since I was 15 years old. I'm now currently 45. So at a very young age, growing up in the South, specifically in the Pentecostal church, at around the age 15, I started actually paying attention instead of just going to hang out with friends. And the more I started to pay attention and I watched people, something deep in my soul just felt off.
Hmm.
Couldn't explain it to you, couldn't tell you what it was. It was just a feeling that I had. And I was like, something's missing here. Something's not quite right. And so, in that curiosity, I started wondering, well, what do other people believe? Like, I grew up around Christians. I have no idea what a Buddhist actually believes. I
Hmm.
have no idea what a Muslim actually believes. I've just always been trained or programmed that these are false idols and they're of the devil and
Right, right.
yada yada, right? So I'm like, well, what? I don't even know what these things are.
Hmm.
So I started becoming curious about other stuff. And so I started exploring. But at the same time, my conditioning was this is the only way. If you don't do it this way, bad stuff's going to happen to you. And so at 15, I was kind of torn because my mind is telling me that I have to stay where I'm at, and my heart is telling me that I have to seek outside of that. So there's this whole internal battle of like, what do I listen to?
Yeah.
And so there was oftentimes I would cry sometimes at night, just God, if you're real, I just want to know what the truth is. I don't care what the truth is. I just want to understand what life is about. What am I supposed to be doing? Why are we here? You know what I mean? Why did you create us? And yada, yada, yada. And so I didn't realize it at the time, but that prayer was almost immediately answered. So at the same time that was happening in my life, my parents had just moved to a new neighborhood, and there was a kid in that neighborhood who claimed to be a witch. And I was very intrigued by the idea of magic and kind of like supernatural powers.
Mm-hmm.
But this kid was also kind of weird. Also said he was a vampire and, you know, whatever else, right? So he, once again, using my discernment, he seemed a little bit off, but there was a bell ring when he talked about magic, and I was like, I'm intrigued. And so I went to Barnes and Nobles and I started searching through the books, and I found it sounds super cheesy, but it's called Magic for Beginners by J. Okay. As basic as we can start. And when I started reading that book, the first three chapters was him just telling stories about how him and his friends would do experiments with divination tools, and how ultimately, from their experimentation, uh, every bit of information that came forward, someone in the room was thinking. And so they were kind of preparing. Well, I didn't realize it at the time, but they were kind of positioning you to understand how much the subconscious mind affects the world, right? I wasn't catching that. I just know this is not what I wanted to study. This is not what I bought the book for. So I got with it.
You got bored with it?
Right. So I tossed it to the side, never finished it. Okay. So then I went back to the bookstore. Let me find something better. And then I found a book called Ancient Teachings for Beginners because I'm a beginner. And so, so I got this book, and this book was based off of the Egyptian teachings. And I love this book because one, it gave me a brief description of various different world religions. So I got like a little cliff notes of different things.
Mhm.
And then it stepped into the loss of spirituality in Christianity. And it explained the Council of Nicaea and when the Bible became canonized, and how a lot of the mysticism was left out and in politics was incorporated into the system.
Mm.
And this was like aha moment, like,
Yeah.
yeah, I was right. This is what I was picking up on. And
Yeah.
so it's kind of confirmation, validating, whatever. And then the very next chapter talked about the ancient mystery schools.
Mm.
And I thought, man, that would have been so cool to live 10,000 years ago
Mhm.
and be able to be a part of one of these ancient societies of people who practiced this magic and knew the secrets of life. Because in my mind, because they're ancient, they don't exist anymore. And so I used to sit there and like while reading this book and have almost fantasies,
Mhm.
maybe memories of actually participating in some of these things. And so time kind of went on, and I kept exploring, gathering information. As I noticed with other seekers, we collect puzzle pieces, right? We'll
Mhm.
go around seeking out, and we'll hear something. We're like, oh yeah, this is something. There's something to this, and
Mm.
now kind of hang on to this piece. And we're collecting all these puzzle pieces, trying to figure out how they all kind of fit together, right?
Yeah.
I feel like that's kind of what we're all kind of doing to a certain extent.
Yeah.
At least starting off. And so I did this for many years. And in that, I did start exploring drugs. First, start off smoking weed, and whatever else. And then I found hallucinogenics. And with that, because my mind was on higher understanding,
Yeah.
that when I would do these, it seemed like keys of the universe were being unlocked to me.
Right.
The problem was, is that whenever I would come back, I would lose it,
Mhm.
right? I could never bring it back with me. It was always fleeting information. And there was even a point in time deep into my practice with that I felt like, am I actually receiving knowledge or am I actually watching knowledge leave? And it was kind of like this feeling that I had.
Mm.
And through that, there was 1999. It was a Mother's Day. And to make a long story short, I kind of had a moment of connection with my mother while I was on LSD.
Mm.
And this is the first time that I actually heard a voice in my head. And it's like it wasn't like a voice, it was like someone else was talking in my head. It was like a
Mm.
thought, but it
Mm.
wasn't mine.
Hmm.
And because it was so internal, I didn't even realize that it wasn't my thought until days after. And I looked at it in hindsight and I was like, whoa. And through that process is what I consider my personal awakening. Okay. And I started to realize that there was this other voice talking to me in my head. And I started dialoguing with it, asking questions. And one of the first things it told me was to stop doing the drugs,
Mm.
stop doing hallucinogenics. And I ignored it. And I said, no, that's what's giving me
Hmm.
access to all this. And it says,
Yeah.
no, you can do it without it. And I ignored it. And I think it was like 2 or 3 weeks later, after that final little, no,
Yeah.
um, I ended up getting busted and went to jail.
Wow. Oh, wow.
And when I sat in jail, I had quite a bit on me. And when I went to jail, I kind of internally just kind of cried out in my head. I was like, oh my gosh, why did this happen to me?
Hmm.
Why is this happening to me? And that voice came in and said, I told you time and time again to stop. You will learn on this journey. If I don't get your attention one way, I will get it another.
Wow.
And I said, okay. So I quit at that point, stopped doing hallucinogenics. By the grace of God, if you would, I ended up getting out of that charge.
Mm.
And because of that, all my friends assumed that I was a snitch. I was put on probation, so I was not able to do anything anymore. And so I sat at a crossroad at 19 years old. What am I going to do with my life? Where do I go from here?
Mm.
And as I'm sitting there meditating, kind of reflecting on this question, I get a vision of myself as this healer and teacher. And for some reason, some way, I know that I'm abroad. I know I'm not at home. I feel like I'm traveling somewhere.
Mm.
And I just see myself just doing these classes and offering healing to people. And I kind of scoffed at it. And I was like, cool. Well, how do you get there? And the voice came in and says, go to massage therapy school.
Hmm.
Okay. That kind of makes sense. I've been known for giving good massages. So I decided to explore it. And so I started seeking out classes in the entire state of Alabama where I grew up. And not a single school in the entire state of Alabama was teaching classes that year. And the very last school that I contacted, and I got to actually talk to the owner. And I says, what is going on? Why is no one teaching? And she explained that the board was trying to change the curriculum
Mm.
and they didn't know what was going to happen until later on in the year. So everyone was just on hold to see what the board was going to do. And she randomly says, well, if you have a chance, go to school in Washington. They have prestige for some of the best massage schools.
Mm.
And I says, well, that's interesting. Synchronicity popped off. I was already desiring to go to Washington because that's where my biological father lived, and I have not seen him since I was 8 years old. So I wanted to go to Washington and meet my biological father
Hmm.
to maybe know myself a little bit better.
Hmm.
And so I was like, this is the sign. This is what I'm to do. So I'm going to go to Washington. I'm going to meet my biological father and go to massage school. And so as soon as I completed my probation, I did. I got in contact with him. I moved out there. And after 3 months of being there, my brother died.
Mm.
He committed suicide. And it almost destroyed me. And my family really wanted me to come back home to be with them. And I just felt like, no, there's something here for me. I can't leave yet.
Mm.
I can't leave yet. And so I got into massage therapy school. And in that school was a gentleman. He was an older guy. He's like in his 40s. I'm 21 at that time.
Hmm.
In his 40s, bald head, big burly, hairy like pie pie. He was an old Navy SEAL guy. And little did I know, he was actually the fiance of the owner of the school. And so he was going through massage school with me. And he was a very aggressive guy. Like just his energy and like when you got into a debate, he was
Mm.
very intense.
Mm.
Debate. And a lot of people didn't like that. But I accept I accept most people where they're at. So I just kind of, we became friends. We studied together. And one day the owner approached me and she says, "Hey, I don't know if you know this, but your peers have actually been passing around a petition to have Mike kicked out of school." I was like, "Are you serious? That's pretty intense." And she was like, "Well, I know you've been a friend to Mike and you've been studying with him. And so I would like to invite you to our wedding. Don't tell anyone else, because you're the only one we're inviting." I says, "For sure, I would be honored." So I did. I went to this wedding. And at this wedding, the lady who did the introduction to Reiki at the massage school
Hmm.
officiated the wedding. As she started off, she burned a bowl of salt. I don't know if you've ever seen this before. I'd never seen it before. You
No, I don't think
take a
I
glass bowl, put some Epsom salt, some alcohol in it, light it on fire. It's like a cleansing for a
have.
space.
Okay.
So she did this, and I was like, "What's happening right now?" And then she had a rattle, and she started singing this, what sounded like, a First Nation song. And so she did that kind of like around the circle of the space. And then she started doing this thing with her arms.
Mm-hmm.
And I could tell because she started off in one direction and she turned to the next. And so I knew to some degree she's like calling in something in different directions. But with each position she did, I could feel the energy shift in the
Oh,
space. And
uh-huh.
I'd never felt anything like that before. I was like, what is this? What is this lady doing? I'm very intrigued. And after the wedding was over, when I saw her, I was just kind of like, wow, what was that? And she just kind of smiled.
Uh-huh.
And, it was the line where you go down the line, shake everyone's
Yeah.
hand,
Uh-huh.
whatever. So she just kind of smiled and nodded, and I got passed along. And so about a few months later, the owner came to me and she says, "Hey, Jamie, there's this class happening this weekend. I think you would really enjoy it. You should come." And she gave me some of the details on it. And I was like, "Well, I can't really afford it. It's 21 years old in massage school, couldn't really afford it." And so she was like, "Well, I'll loan you the money. You can pay me back whenever you can." And I said, "Okay, let's do it." And she's like, "Well, first you have to get this thing called a life activation. So you need to reach out to Melody as soon as possible and get it because this is like Wednesday and the class is happening Saturday." So I go in that Friday, get a life activation, and then Saturday we ride out to Melody's house, and I walk into her house, and that same vibe
Mm-hmm.
from the wedding is in her house, and I'm like, "Oh, what is this?" And so I walk into the living room, and there's a group of people, and there's a guy. He looks Japanese. He's a Japanese American.
Hmm.
Um, and he's the one that taught the class. His name was John Evans. And we all started, and he says, "Hi, my name's John Evans. I'm a guide and a third step ritual master." And at that time, the school was called the Rocky Mountain Mystery School. And so I heard the term mystery school, and I was like, "What? Those don't exist anymore." So I started challenging him, like I'm an expert in mystery schools. And he was like going through the lineage and how this particular lineage has survived throughout the ages in an unbroken string of people. And I said, "Okay, maybe." And then he started talking about the path of progression, where you do empower thyself and you start working on working with your negative ego and giving tools to empower you to kind of like manifest your purpose.
Mm.
And then after that, you can go on to become a life activation practitioner in Healers Academy so that you can do healing services for other people. And then you can go on to become a teacher and a guide so you can start teaching classes. And as he's going through this path of progression,
Hmm.
it's like this light bulb goes off, that vision comes back in, the voice pops back in and says, "This is how you're going to do it."
Oh, well.
And I was floored. I was like, whoa, this fully came full circle. And so that was the weekend that I got initiated into the lineage of King Solomon. And so since then, I've been working with the school. I became a life activation practitioner in 2009. And in 2009, I went back and right before I left Washington to go back home, the owner of the massage school invited me to help her with an expo because she didn't have enough people. And in exchange for that, she would let me see this premiere of this new movie that was coming out. Well, the new movie was, and I don't know if you've seen it, What the Bleep Do We Know?
Oh, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So it was like the premiere of that movie at this expo.
Hmm.
And so that's when I watched What the Bleep Do We Know? And so I moved back home, settled up there, got back to my life, whatever else, integrated those tools. And around 2009, I wanted to go farther. And around that time, I was also doing a purging of, I was kind of like in survivalist mode, like getting rid of unnecessary things. And
Hmm.
it was that time that like Into the Wild came out,
Oh.
it was around that time. So I
Yeah.
was like, I'm like, yeah, I want to be a survivalist and blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah.
Yeah.
So I went through my bookshelf and just started like weeding out books that I didn't feel really served me anymore. And in that, I came across that first book, The Magic for Beginners,
Oh.
one that I never finished.
Mm.
And I was like, I would hate to get rid of this book. This is where I started. And I was like, well, let me just kind of like reminisce for a moment. And so the book was split into two sections, low magic and high magic. I never made it to high magic because I never went that far, right? So I was like, well, I'm an initiate in the lineage of King Solomon. I'm ready for high magic. So I skipped straight to that section. The very first chapter is an explanation of the experiments that was done in the early 1900s, which gave the foundation to the movie, What the Bleep Do We Know?
Oh, wow.
Right? So it's like
Oh.
I could have learned that 6, 7 years prior if I would have finished the book. And that's what the guy was trying to lead into was, your subconscious mind and how it affects the world around you and whatever else, and
Mm.
how we use this as a tool for magic. So I went a little bit deeper. I was almost kind of mad that I missed it. So I immediately skipped that chapter, went to the next one. The next chapter, he starts going into the ancient mystery schools and the Western mystery tradition. And I was like, what?
Too funny.
What? And so I looked up this guy, and even on the back, he was talking about doing making talismans based off of the Golden Dawn and yada yada. And so at that moment, I realized that from the moment I first started seeking, the mystery school path was laid before me, and I had no idea. And then when I did find out about it, I didn't even think it existed anymore, right? And then I ended up getting led all the way across the country to be able to find my way onto this path. So, as it says in the Bible, if it is of God, it will confirm itself time and time again. And for me, in this journey and
Mm.
this path, it has numerous times.
Wow.
And that's all really for me, the most of the validation that I need.
Yeah. Wow.
So that's my long story of
Oh, wow.
this
It's
path.
incredible. It's incredible. It's so it is really interesting how um when you're holding a question and things just start appearing,
Mhm.
teachers, whatever you're meant is meant for you. So it's really interesting. So what kind of blew me away when in speaking with you um was the for me the big aha moment was like, oh, because I went down the path of the East, I was
Mhm.
drawn to Indian traditions, yoga and Buddhism and stuff like that. And I had this tremendous spiritual awakening that was way too much for me. I would never want to go through it again. Um, glad I
Yeah, I
survived.
tried. There's too many A's. There's too
Yeah.
there's too many A's in that language. I get lost. I'm like, what? What?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I need
And
a
yeah,
translator over here, please.
but it was and so when you mentioned to me, it's like, and I know Rudolf Steiner talks about this, that the Western mind, the Western person, is wired in a totally different way. And so yeah, no wonder I had that experience. I was way out on a limb, I mean, I was
Yeah,
kind of like, you know, oh, my poor mother. Anyway,
I feel the same way. My poor mother.
yeah. Yeah. So I'm really curious about this life activation, as the sort of that's the doorway, right? Like that's the if you're drawn or I hate to use the word curious, but if you're wanting to experience, maybe like that's the first step, right? The life activation.
If it is, so to me, the life activation is one of the most important things that we can offer someone.
Mm.
You can do other healings. You don't have to start there. You can get, emotional cord cuttings. You can do aura clearings. You can start in other places. But the truth is that the life activation sets the foundation for all other healing.
Mm.
And that doesn't matter whether we're talking about other forms of energy work, if we're talking about like psychotherapy work,
Oh, huh.
regardless of what it is, the life activation sets the foundation for all other healing.
Mm-hmm.
It is one of the most important keys that we can bring to humanity at this point in time. And I know that's a tall claim, right? And I get it. But if it is, then it is.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So is it like activation is different than healing, right?
Sort of. Sort
Sort
of.
of. How so? What is it?
It's all,
Is
to
it
me,
like
it's
an
all healing.
energetic blueprint that, or you get activated with your own true destiny, or what happens inside of a life activation?
Um, so one, just kind of go back to the first part.
Yeah.
In the same way, I always tell my clients, people that I work with, all of my classes are healings. All of my healings are educational opportunities, right? Like there is no, to me, there is no separation. It's all healing. Anything that takes you from point A to point B in a progression of becoming better, it's healing.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
I don't,
Yeah.
bottom line, that's what it is. So that's just how I understand things. So the life activation, we have to understand everything that exists physically has a spiritual blueprint, right? That's why when we, astral travel or whatever else, we can see the same things we see in the physical because it exists as a blueprint in the astral first before it ever comes into fruition in the physical.
Mm.
In the same way, let's say you wanted to invent a device, you have to conceptualize, visualize, and create this thing in your mind before you ever actually bring it into physical materia, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So the physical manifestation is the end process. It is the final, to an extent, the final manifestation of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
So in order for it to get to the physical, it has to come through these other layers to get there, right?
Right.
That makes sense?
Yeah.
So in that, we all know, we have physical DNA. And there's physical DNA that dictates how my cells operate, the color of my skin, how my hair grows, color of my eyes, yada, 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 yada. But we also have spiritual DNA, and we have spiritual lineage and ancestry.
Mm.
And for humanity, this particular aspect of our divine nature has not been fully accessible to us, which is why a lot of people have this feeling, belief, or attempt to experience something divine. We understand I am a spiritual being having a physical experience, but when we tap into it, there's this
Yeah.
ceiling.
Sure. Yeah.
There's something keeping us from fully tapping into that.
Yeah.
Life activation
Wow.
is the key to opening that door
Mm-hmm.
so that we can step into more of our divine nature and bring that
Mm. Yeah.
more into the physical.
Yeah.
So essentially, it is all healing is coming back to self, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like my Eternus, my tagline is the return to self. All of it is coming back to self and not the personality and the identity of like, oh, I'm Jamie and I like lollipops and
Right.
whatever else, but the eternal me of like, this is who I am and this is where I come from and this is where I will go after this physical body is no more.
Mm-hmm.
And so I need to understand who am I, and I need to get back in touch with my true self And the life activation is a tool that was developed thousands of years ago because this problem has been, acknowledged for centuries.
Mm-hmm.
And King Solomon and his temple spent many, many years trying to figure out ways to open this up for people. And the life activation is one of the primary tools that came out of that
Wow.
40 years of research.
Wow.
And so that's why it's so important because you can't heal if you can't reconnect with your true self.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just,
Yeah.
you can put band-aids on stuff and whatever else, but the real suffering is because we know not who we are.
Yeah.
We're disconnected from source, we're disconnected from ourselves. And so anything that we can do to help people come back to uh, the truth and the understanding that you are made in the image of the divine. You are divinity embodied in the physical. And if we can help people understand, not just understand that, but to embody that,
Yeah.
this is how we change the world.
Yeah.
This is how we create, as the terminology we talked about before, like you use the new earth.
Mm-hmm.
This is how we create Shambhala.
Mm-hmm.
And so that is why uh, these these teachings and these healings have been brought forth to humanity on a mass scale because people are actually ready and able to digest them on a mass scale.
Okay, so that was kind of like you kind of maybe partly answered my next question is why now? Like, I mean, the modern mystery school, when was it, when did it first show itself? Like, how long has
Uh,
it been around?
so technically, the modern mystery school, I think, is like 97.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So the mystery schools are what most people refer to as secret societies,
Mm-hmm.
right? They've existed kind of behind the scenes doing their thing. It's kind of like I always tell people, it's Hogwarts, man. It's Hogwarts.
Well, yeah, and so these secret societies, I'm curious, is that including like, the Illuminati or the Skull and Bones or is that something else?
Well, and you said two names, and both of those names are very different things.
Uh-huh.
So Skull and Bones is one kind of like secret society, if you would.
Mm-hmm.
They operate on a different platform than the mystery schools. The mystery schools are not, I probably shouldn't even use that word. They're not technically secret societies in the way that people think. We are more in alignment with the true Illuminati.
Mm-hmm.
But even in that, the concept of the Illuminati has been distorted and twisted into some power hungry, you know what I mean?
Right.
So that's
Yeah.
what's hard is like there's so much distortion around these words,
Yeah. Yeah.
it doesn't land
It
right for
shuts
people.
people down. Yeah.
Right.
No,
So the,
definitely.
the, the reality is that there are 7 schools around the world. All right. Each one of them anchored and upheld by certain cultures. And this goes from Australia to Africa to Japan, Romania, London, the US.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if I forgot one, but you kind of get the idea.
Yeah.
And so they're all tied to some of them we know about. Some of them are common knowledge to people.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them are not. And they have been established for thousands of years, and their job is to preserve the spiritual evolution and progression of humanity throughout history. They're record keepers, and they keep the keys to the wisdom
Mm-hmm.
so that it doesn't die out on the planet,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
So if let's say for instance that the truth is that we're evolved from monkeys, right?
Oh.
And so let's say that's true. And we knew that thousands of years ago, and then the that people cared less and less. And then after a couple hundred years, the last person who remembered that died.
Yeah.
Then that knowledge is lost to humanity at that
Right.
point in time.
Right.
Now, down the road, it could resurface whatever else, but this is kind of the idea is that the lineage and the reason it is hidden is because most people don't care.
Well,
And some people who do care want to control it.
manipulate it maybe.
Right. And
Not
well,
a
it's like you look at Christianity, for instance, like the true teachings and the mystical teachings of Christ have been stolen,
right.
rewritten. Anybody who doesn't believe my way,
Yeah.
it's been under persecution for thousands of years. That's why everyone in the West wants to go to the East because that mysticism has been widely accepted within the culture. The Western mysticism has been burned at stakes, they've been hung,
Well,
they've been persecuted for thousands of years. So they have to go secret.
yeah.
They have to kind of withdraw and to preserve those teachings. But when a person shows up on the planet that is ready, that person gets sought out. Kind
Hmm.
of like in Harry Potter. You'll get a letter in the mail, someone will come
Right.
knock on your door.
Yeah, when the student is ready, the teacher just shows up. It really
Right.
does happen that way. Yeah.
But with the things that have happened on the planet, like around 90, 96, 97, there's a lot of planetary alignments that ultimately diminish the veils
Hmm.
between us and the higher spiritual dimensions, which is why 96, 97, what happened in entertainment? Here comes Harry Potter. Here comes The Matrix. Here comes Legends
Right.
with Tom Cruise. Like, here comes all this stuff bringing mythological creatures back, bringing all this magic back to humanity.
Yeah.
That's what happened. So, next thing you know, you have people popping up, waking up all over the planet. And the mystery schools are like, I don't know what to do.
Oh,
How do we handle all these people? And so the mystery school of the North Gate, was ordered to open its doors to the general public for the first time.
wow.
And the problem is that the mystery tradition is not built for an external representation,
Hmm.
right? It's not built for that. It's built for more personal, one-on-one.
Person to person.
Right.
Yeah.
And so when they opened the doors, it was kind of like, how do we do this?
Yeah.
And so it is through that the term modern mystery school is created. The modern mystery school is the externalization. It's kind of like the business
Yeah.
that allows the mystery school to interface with the general public.
Yeah. It's like you had to franchise or something. I mean, that's a
Yeah.
terrible analogy, but that's the best I can think of, right? I
Well, that
mean,
was kind of
to
thing
be able to serve
is the
more
main
people.
guy, Goodney Goodness, he came out and he started teaching classes and whatever else. And, you know, I never, I came into the school around that time, but I was more of like a student of one of his direct students. So I was like second generation in that way.
Hmm.
But from what I hear from uh, my other teachers that was like one-on-one with him is that it was very advanced information and it was really hard to really ground in a lot of the stuff this guy was talking about. And so, like a lot of our manuals, as far as I understand it, could be wrong, but from what I understand, a lot of our manuals that we have now, because there was no manuals,
Hmm.
the manuals we have now were constructed by the earlier students who took their notes and combined them and worked them into manuals.
Uh-huh.
And so there was one of the earlier students, Dave Lanyon, who uh, he kind of reminds me of Saul, honestly, in the Bible. Like very did not want to do any of this. And then then he kept kind of like getting pulled back in. And in all of that, he looked at how everything was working and he comes from more of a business. He's built businesses, he's worked in mental health, he's built martial arts studios, whatever else. And so he has an understanding of business and how business works. And he pretty much told Goodney, and he says, I don't see any other way of bringing this to the people in the way that you want to without structuring it like a business.
Hmm.
I don't see any other way to do it.
Yeah.
And so he was given the opportunity to try it out, see if it works. And
Hmm.
that was the birth of the Modern Mystery School. And in that time that he has been given that opportunity, he has been able to expand this school into 51 different countries around the world in the
Wow.
last 20 years. And so now it's to the point to where like other people from like Japan comes over and kind of gets ideas of like how can we do this. So now they're stretching into Korea and then actually into China,
Wow.
as far as in the Western world now. So uh, I understand sometimes people can look from the outside, and especially with all the noise that's going on social media and whatever else, that they're like, oh, it's this and it's that, or oh, they're just trying to do this, and there's this, you know, scam behind it or whatever else. And it's like,
Yeah.
nah, it's just people trying to figure out the best way to serve humanity with the tools that we have.
Yeah.
And we are people that genuinely just want to make the world a better place. We desire world peace like everybody else. And we just truly believe that these teachings and these tools at least hold a key. They're a vital part
Mm.
of making this happen for the planet.
Yeah.
It's been prophesized for thousands of years within the mystery school.
Wow.
Everyone knew this time was coming.
See, that to me just is so amazing, and yeah, like I I don't know, it just lights up my heart to know that now is the time, like you said, okay, humanity really is ready. Um, and maybe things just had to get bad enough maybe for people to be like, no more, let's figure something else out. But yeah, it is really interesting to see how many people are waking up, and knowing that there's more. And so it's really beautiful that there's something here, like the Modern Mystery School and the work that you do, that where people can go be like, teach me, show me. I'm ready. I want to learn. And
Yeah.
so it's amazing. I'm super excited. I spoke with your friend in Seattle. I forgot his name already, but
Alexander, yeah.
yeah, we're tag teaming on email, and I'm definitely really excited to experience a life activation. It just seems like the logical thing for me to do because
It's beautiful, I promise you. You'll
it's
walk
showing
out
up
and
in
be
my
like,
life.
wow, what just happened?
Yeah, amazing. And yeah, maybe I'll bring my husband kicking and screaming. Not really, but I'll sign him up too,
Hey,
you know?
the ones that come kicking and screaming usually wind up doing the most,
Yeah.
it's just like it says, Dave Lanyon, he kicked and screamed for eight
Yeah,
years,
yeah,
you know,
yeah. Too
and
funny.
finally and I was like, running the Western world. So
Yeah,
it
it's
tends to be that way.
yeah. So yeah, so to the listeners and the viewers, definitely check out Jamie's website. It's in the description, eternus-self.com. And yeah,
I would also like to interject too, because this
yeah.
is going to be broadcasted everywhere. You're more than welcome to go to modernmysteryschoolint.com.
Hmm.
And if you scroll to the bottom of any page, it will have a certified list where you can go in and you can find all the certified life activation practitioners in the world, where
Yeah,
they're located, their contact information, their websites, if they have one,
yeah,
all that information. So if
yeah,
you're not in Alabama, you're not in Washington, you're somewhere abroad, I guarantee we have someone within a stone's throw away.
yeah. And this
Yeah.
is I forgot to mention this. The life activation has to be done in person. So this
Yes.
isn't a do it remotely sort of thing. So
Right.
if you go to that website, find somebody in your state and check it out. Yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
I'm excited.
And as you also, if I can plug one more thing,
Yeah, of
I
course.
think is really beneficial to people. Um, you had mentioned about how things are kind of getting bad and
Hmm.
whatever else. One of our uh, Sistemas, Teresa Bullard, and some people might know her from Gaia TV. She did mystery teachings,
Mm-hmm.
like the first season of mystery teachings. She comes from the science world. She's a physicist, and she's also been a student with the mystery school for a couple decades. And so she weaves those two worlds together. And she wrote a book a couple years ago called The Game Changers:
Mm,
Social Alchemy for the 21st Century.
I'm writing it down. Yeah.
And this book essentially, she goes through, because she is the epistema of Kabbalah and she understands in great depth the alchemical processes. And so she breaks down how humanity is going through an alchemical process now.
Mm,
And a lot of things that we see in the world are part of the alchemical process of removing that which is impure.
mm.
Right. And so there are certain phases in which that has to kind of ferment. It has to come to the surface. It has to die off
Yeah.
and whatever else. And so it helps kind of give a broader understanding of what's going on in the world and
Yeah.
why things are the way that they are. So you don't get so hopeless
Yeah.
in what's happening of like, because it seems like, man, we're just going the wrong
Yeah,
direction.
we're just going straight for the cliff.
Right, but it's not necessarily the case. In a lot of cases it is necessary, but we are at a very dire time, and it's very important that we stay focused on the hope and the positivity for the future and not get caught up in the drama.
Absolutely.
And that is the most important thing, is how we can help steer this ship as individuals in the collective conscious,
Yeah.
keep focus on the mission. We're
Absolutely.
creating world peace.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's going to happen.
I love it. We're creating reality, and thank you for sharing that because I think that would be really helpful to a lot of people who I just see are spinning out, overwhelmed, you know.
And if
So,
that's
so
you, get a
important.
life activation.
Yes, absolutely.
100%.
Jamie,
That's
thank you
my
so much for reaching out and just, yeah, reaching out to be on the show because this is really good stuff, people. So, yeah, thank you so
I
much.
want to thank you for doing this for everyone.
Yeah, yeah, and
And hopefully we'll get to do it again sometime.
yeah, for sure, definitely. Doors are open, and please like, share, subscribe, get this information out. It's good stuff. So, all right.
It's just tools. Apply it to whatever you have. Um, you know, it's just tools.
Yeah,
Put
do
them
your
in your
part.
toolkit.
Yeah, awesome. All right. Bye, everybody.